Hi, Tracy. My name is Carly Wells, and I'm going to be your social worker today. Do you mind if I call you Tracy, or is there something else you prefer?
No, Tracy's fine.
Okay. So before we begin, I just wanted to go over confidentiality with you really fast. So that just means everything you say to me stays in this room unless you disclose to me that you know of a child or an elder being abused, or if you have any intentions of hurting someone else. Other than that, it stays in this room. I'm also going to have you sign a consent form at the end of this session, just that you were here on your own free will and you weren't forced to be here by anybody, because that's important for me to help you, is not that because you're doing it for anybody else.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about that?
No, the confidentiality is on you. And do you want me to call you Carly or Miss Wells?
You can call me Carly.
Oh, good.
That's perfect. All right, so let's talk about what brought you in today.
Well, in the last 2 years, I've gained 20 pounds, and I'm uncomfortable, I'm heavy, and I know why part of it happened, but I just need some strategies because it's just, I'm uncomfortable and I don't like myself, and it's affecting me now, and it's horrible.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the greatest, how do you feel like this affects your day-to-day life or your self-esteem, or where would you feel like this issue's at?
I think it's a 9.
Okay.
I mean, to me, a 10 is when you're ready to, hurt yourself or something puts you in that much of a depression.
Right. But it's inching up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about it. So you said over the last 2 years, what was it like before those 2 years ago?
Well, I had lost like 98 pounds and kept it off for 12 years. And I was working at a school, and I was the safety assistant, so I was walking all the time. And 2 years ago, I retired, and so I gained 10 pounds right away. It's amazing when it's the best thing to get a job where you're moving and walking and have a job you love is amazing. But so I retired and then 10 just right away.
Okay.
And then I'm actually bipolar 2, and my doctor changed my prescription, and it's a side effect of the prescription to gain weight. And that's one of those conundrums. Do you want to be, I refer to myself as crazy. I have no problem with that word. But it's like, do I want to be crazy or do I want to be stable and fat?
Have you brought that up with your doctor? Like, is there any medication that wouldn't have that side effect, or is that just part of the side effects?
One medicine I really liked and would like to go back on, but the weight just came on so fast.
Okay.
So I changed that one. And he put me on another one that doesn't have quite as much of a weight gain. The first one was like, I think 5 pounds a week.
Wow.
It was crazy. But, so we went to a different one, and I've been on that for 8 months.
Okay.
And it's much better. It's definitely better. There's still weight gain from it. And so it was like, there's food cravings with it too, like sugar. Oh my gosh. I could eat sugar, and probably do, for every meal. So at Halloween, I actually took all these little snack bars, and I was eating them, and I threw the trash away. And once I dumped the wrappers out, it spread out, and the pile was huge. I covered it up in the garbage. So that's almost like secretive eating.
And how does it make you feel when you acknowledge that or see that? I mean, what's the feeling associated with that?
Acknowledging that it's from the weight gain or from the pills. It's taken a long time to learn to be compliant on my medication. And something happened, it's like I will never miss a day unless it's an accident. So I'm committed to take my medication, so that means I would have to be committed to the weight gain. It's just kind of come to that.
Right.
There's no choice.
Right.
So how do you fight it? How do you get comfortable with it? How do you accept it? And really, isn't weight calories in, calories out?
Right.
But in my head, I think I'm finally wrapped around, I've got to take the medicine.
Right. But you did say there's a balance of the medicines part, but the other part was the retirement. So So where do you feel like that balance is of a partial, like, this is what I need to do to be healthy mentally versus this is also part of a changed lifestyle?
I equate 10 pounds to each.
Mm-hmm.
I equate 10
Mm-hmm.
pounds to a lifestyle change
Mm-hmm.
and 10 pounds to medication. So it's not like 20 pounds is one big lump.
Right.
And so
Right.
it's kind of easier to divide it out and give them excuses.
Right.
Because that's what they are, is they're excuses. And
So what about the 10 pounds that's from retirement? How do you feel about, like, what are your feelings around that reality? And I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, like, I'm going to do this tomorrow, 1 being I can't get off my couch, where do you feel like you're at of, like, you see an issue, but actually wanting or knowing you can change it? Because it's different to want it versus, like, I will do this. Like, where do you feel like your resistance lies in that?
I think that the beauty of it is I was walking.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody who works for UPS or the postal USPS, you know, they're moving all the time in their job.
Right.
And I was moving all the
You
time
didn't
in
have
my
to
job.
think about it.
No, it was just what you did.
Right.
So the only thing that I could think of where you could volunteer where you'd be moving is like the food bank.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to rack my brain of what are other things you could do that wouldn't be going to the gym or wouldn't be making yourself do it, because I'm not very self-driven.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not internally motivated.
Mhm.
I'm externally motivated. So it's kind of hard, but I don't really want to volunteer at the food bank either.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you kind of a weird question, but bear with me. So imagine you went to bed tonight and you woke up tomorrow morning and this problem was gone. Not that you'd magically shed all the weight, but that you felt your motivation and you, like, this issue wasn't there anymore, that you were where you were 2 years ago, or you were where you were when you were at your happiest place, but you didn't know that that issue had gone away during the night. What do you think the first clue to you, how would you feel if you were different and you didn't know it?
My clothes would fit.
Mm-hmm.
And going from before losing the 98, you see those sizes go down,
Right.
and to have to see sizes go up is really, it's like a failure.
Right.
But that's the place I would notice it right now is the pant size and the uncomfortableness of clothes.
And how do you think people around you would notice? Aside from the clothes fitting differently, like your husband and your kids and your mom, how do you think that they would notice something was different by you? Maybe not even from an outward appearance.
Yeah. I think with my husband, I'd just be more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
With my kids, I might be a little bit more fun
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't feel as weighted down. And, like, when I say weighted down, it's like heavy, just like depression heavy. I think I'd just be more fun. And with my mom, it would just be easier to look her in the eye because I feel like a failure with her, most of all because she was my cheerleader losing the weight in the first place.
So do you think the root of it now is shame? Or, I mean, what's the feeling that goes into it when you think about not being where you want to be exactly? Is it just, like you've said, failure multiple times?
Yeah. I think the thing that bothers me the most, and it's borderline on shame, and that's new, is all this sugar and wanting to kind of hide the facts that I'm eating the sugar. It's like Halloween candy. Buy what you don't want, so you won't eat it. Or you end up eating stuff that you don't like. It doesn't matter what it is. You're just shoving things in. It doesn't have to taste good, but if it's sugar, it's going down.
Right.
So I think that's probably one of the biggest issues right now, and I don't know if it's the medication that causes the sugar. I need to check with Dr. Martino a little bit more about that.
Right.
So if I could just stop myself from eating sugar, especially eating stuff that I'm just eating to eat.
Right. It's not like actually enjoyable
no,
to you.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like savoring every bite. It's like, my God, I got Three Musketeers. I got to that layer of Halloween candy. It's like, yuck.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So.
Well, I really want to affirm that you're here. I get that it's hard to sit in front of a stranger and tell them areas of failure to you and vulnerability and honesty on a level that most people don't want to even go near in themselves. And I just want to affirm you being here, that that's the first step of making any change and letting somebody else into that process, because that's how shame works. If it can keep you alone, nothing's going to change. It's the minute you start to reach out. So I want to thank you for letting me into that process. And I want to meet with you regularly until we get you to a place where you feel confident on your own. So it'll probably be a couple months of just processing this. And I don't want to do too much on our first session because I don't want to overload you, because I know it's a lot. But I want to challenge you for your homework this week, if you're up for it, is what would it look like to only eat the desserts that mean something to you, that you do savor, not the just like shoving candy in, but the things that you're like, oh my gosh, this is worth it, you know, because I get it's like somebody wants to stop smoking. Most people aren't going to go cold turkey. Right. And it's the same with this. As much as, maybe you'll get to a point where you don't eat sugar ever.
Right.
Great. But we're not there yet. So what would it look like to go from just eating it to eat it to go to actually, like, it's almost rewarding yourself for not just binging on anything, but actually making it worthwhile to your time.
No Three Musketeers bars, because that's yucky.
Yeah.
But maybe Barnes & Noble cheesecake.
Totally. Like,
triple
if that's
chocolate cheesecake.
Yeah,
is
I mean,
good.
if that's your, like, that is so good to me, then every time you want to just binge on the candy that's not good, you can say, no, I'm gonna instead tomorrow go to Barnes & Noble and get this cheesecake. And then it's like, then you aren't at least beating yourself up in the sense of, it's not even worthwhile. You can say, I actually enjoyed that. Right. I actually enjoyed that.
Right.
And so it takes a little bit of the failure away, because there's almost a reason behind it. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
So to recap, instead of eating just sugar all the time, I would look at each individual thing, like a cookie, or even putting sugar on my Cheerios. It's like, that's a sweet. Totally. All of a sudden, a bowl of breakfast has become a sweet.
Totally.
So instead of just eating that, because it's just
habit or whatever,
that I could save it all up and say, okay, not even save it up. I could have 10 cheesecakes at Barnes & Noble a day if I wanted, but it's just making it good.
Well, and it's becoming aware. It's not just mindlessly putting sugar on your Cheerios and you're like, when did I even start doing this? And it's not just mindlessly eating Three Musketeer bar after Three Musketeer bar that you're like, I don't even like this. It's like intentionally saying, I'm going to get in my car, I'm going to drive to Barnes & Noble. This is intentional.
Right.
So even if it's not changing necessarily at this point the calorie intake or the sugar intake, this is about you coming into your body in a sense and being aware of the choices that you're making.
Right.
And that's really powerful. Even if we're not, maybe we're right here right now and you want to be down here. We'll get there. Yeah. But it doesn't happen until you start to become aware of what you're doing. And actually, even if those patterns change slowly, you're coming into your own awareness.
Right.
Instead of just being like, I don't know why I do this.
Right. Right.
You can at least say, I do this because I like this cheesecake, and that's why.
And then you, later down the line, either just be comfortable with what that cheesecake does to you.
Right.
Or
you find another alternative. Or you say, you know what, I like, who knows, I like walking at the gym and I only listen to this music when I'm there. It's a reward for myself. Or this podcast when I'm there. Or this, like, I only listen to this at the gym because it's a reward. Or whatever. So you can find other rewards. But we can start small, you know.
Right,
But it's
right.
like it was the candy you don't even like. Now we're making it something you do like, and then from
Right.
there we'll find something else that you do like. And
Right.
it's not trying to just deprive you into like being like shaming you into
Right.
submission. That's not
Right.
what I want to do with you in this time.
Right, and my garbage can won't be full of sugar.
Exactly.
The evidence. The evidence.
So do you think that's something you can at least throw around in your brain this
Yeah.
week? I mean, I get that we all slip and make mistakes too and go back to old habits. It happens. That's where we're at right now. But even just mulling that around in your brain of what that would look like.
Yeah. No, that makes more sense. I mean, it's like instead of buying a crappy purse at Fred Meyer's, you would actually spend
Totally.
or 10 crappy purses. You
Right.
would
For
spend
one
the money
Michael
for one.
Kors.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think I'll definitely make that. I think that's going to really work.
Okay.
Because, like, even right now, I know I have stuff at home to go eat, and I could just walk and do it. But would I get in my car and go to Barnes & Noble? No. So I'm not going to have the other. Yeah,
but it's thinking about it. It's
Yeah.
thinking about it. Even if
Yeah.
you're not there, it's maybe for the first time being like, maybe there's other options.
Right.
Except for just not just getting stuck in that same cycle over and over and over.
Right.
Even just thinking of getting off that cycle is where we're going to start slowly.
And to a point that's, internal, yet it's external,
Right.
in that it kind of fits both.
Yeah.
It's not like...
It manifests itself externally
Yeah.
in what you reach for.
Right.
So,
can
well,
do
I really appreciate our time together, and I look forward to seeing just kind of how you felt about this week and
I
what
do too.
kind of went through your head in this week, and then moving to the next step and doing this baby steps, because your self-motivation to even be here tells me
Yeah.
that you care enough to sit in this office with a stranger and disclose personal information, which is brave and more than a lot of people do. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I will see you next week. Thanks,
Okay,
Tracy.
sounds good.
Okay.